Florence Williams, author of the book Breasts, A Natural and Unnatural History. Thank you so much for being here today. And first of all, I wanted to ask you, what made you decide to write this book?
Well, I was a science journalist, and I was also a new mother when I learned that toxic chemicals were showing up in breast milk. And so I wanted to explore the story and tell it from my own point of view, because I thought it would be interesting to find out what was in my breast milk and then what it meant for the health of my baby. And I thought other people would be interested in it too. So it started out as an article about that in the New York Times Magazine, and then it just kept building because I learned that there were many other environmental influences that act upon the breast and affect it in lots of different life stages. So I wanted to learn more about that too.
And you write about an experiment that you participated in that was designed by Ruth Ann Rudell, the research director at Silent Spring Institute. Tell me about that experiment and why you chose to seek Silent Spring Institute's help.
Well, just as I wanted to know what was in my breast milk, I also wanted to know what was coursing through my body in terms of other chemicals. And in the breast milk, we looked at flame retardants. But there are many other exposures that we face every day just through food and through living in our environments. And so I wanted to know what my exposures were to some of these chemicals that we know to act upon hormone systems. And then we also wanted to know if it was possible to reduce those levels by changing some lifestyle and dietary habits. And so we tested for triclosan, which is found in soaps and shampoos and toothpaste. It acts as an antibacterial substance. And we tested for bisphenol A, which is also found in through food exposures. We get it through canned foods and canned sodas, and it's also found in things like grocery store receipts. We know it acts as an estrogen in cells. So we also wanted to test for phthalates, which are additives in soft plastics like polyvinyl chloride, and they're also used to bind scents in personal care products. So those are the main ones we tested for. And it turns out that, especially for the phthalates, I actually had fairly high levels, and my daughter did also because we tested her. And so, it kind of, it was an interesting experiment for me because we couldn't really identify where I was getting these exposures from. Most personal care products and things that we buy aren't labeled, so we don't really know what's in them. And even when I tried to reduce my levels and exposures for the next phase of testing, I wasn't really able to make a big dent in my phthalate levels, even though I stopped eating meats and dairy products, and I stopped trying to buy food that was wrapped in plastic, and I didn't use shampoo or moisturizer for a few days to prepare for this next phase of testing. So I don't know where my phthalate exposures came from, and to me that was kind of it was a frustrating feeling, and it made me feel like I really didn't have that much control over what's in my body.
And how have people reacted to this book?
I think the reaction has been really positive. A lot of women have told me that they have thought about things that they've never thought about before. My hope is that it doesn't just generate fear, but I want people to come away from the book with questions and also I think with a sense of urgency about how we really need to find out more about these exposures that we're getting in our bodies and what these chemicals are doing to our cells. There's so much we don't know, and the reason we don't know is because our government doesn't really test for health effects, and the industries that put these chemicals in their products aren't testing. And so, as a mom and as a woman, I feel helpless. I don't really feel like I can control my exposures that well, and I feel like the responsibility really should lie upstream to governments and to manufacturers. So I hope there's a little more pressure there.
You said you feel helpless. Is there anything that people can do while we're working to change these policies?
Yeah, I think, with these exposures, I think what these experiments and others like it have proven is that we can actually change some of our levels of certain chemicals if we really try by avoiding things like canned food and by avoiding lots of processed food. But of course, we also know that sometimes we need to take shortcuts, and moms have all kinds of challenges in feeding our families. And I sort of resent that the burden should be on me. I think it should be on me a little bit, but I also think we should really require these chemicals to be tested for safety before they even enter our homes.
And what are your hopes for the book's impact overall?
Well, I hope it helps move forward this conversation about chemical safety in our society. And I also think it helps us sort of appreciate the complexity of breasts as an organ, so that we don't just look at them for one thing or look at them in one way, because they really are these amazing, complicated organs. And so I hope it moves that conversation forward as well.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today.
That's my pleasure.
For writing the book.
Thank you.